Okay, so since we have so many educators here, I said we're going to shake things up a little bit. So I want to kind of jump to one of the biggest things. So there's a lot of research that's happening in the labs. And then I want you guys to talk to me about the gap. When they get the information in the labs and they're working on this, why is it so hard to transfer over to the classroom? Because you have educators who care about the subject and they care about their kids, but they might not have the latest stuff because teaching reading is rocket science. So tell me about the gap. I mean, if 95% of children can read well, then why are 60, remember this one? This is pretty cool. 66% of US fourth graders reading below grade level. What's going on?
You start. I will start. Actually, Harvey, I don't understand because I'm in a position where I'm in a district and I get to work with so many wonderful people. We know what's out there. We know the research. Matter of fact, 6 years ago when I took the position, my first call was to Margie. And I went up and learned alongside with her and her team. And it's about taking what's out there, learning it yourself, and putting it into practice. So in so many places, I don't understand why that's so difficult. We have people, we have you, who literally dedicate their lives to getting that message out there. We have the science, we have the research, and it's at our fingertips. Sure, I work every day to try to learn more. I go out, I talk with other researchers, experts, the scientists in the field, but the responsibility lies on us. And I think in so many ways, educators, we need to check sort of our own opinions at the door. It's not about maybe what we thought. It's not about maybe the way it used to be. It's not always about what makes us comfortable. And I know I have a lot of teachers here tonight from Waterbury, and I commend them. I love them. They work hard. And when I ask them to change something and I provide them with something that might challenge their own beliefs, sometimes they worry. But they step up to the plate and they do it because it's best for kids. And so I think the information is out there. You have to be responsible, and you have to take what you know. You have to continue to ask questions. You have to continue to be a learner, and know that what you're doing, you're doing it for the best interest of all of the children.
But where are they going to get the information? And sometimes there's certain dogmas in certain systems where people might not like the new change. So how can educators get that information? I mean, we have a bunch of smart educators here, and there's some places we still have kids falling through the cracks. So
Literacy How is one place we can get that information. I'm going to pass that over to Margie, and maybe you want to talk a little more about those opportunities.
Well, I just to address the gap. So there is a huge gap, right? So 95% of children can learn to read, yet only 35% of our children are reading on grade level. So that's 60% differential. Why is that? We can look at how teachers are being prepared, and although Laura and Regine represent a university that's gone and taken very seriously the importance of translating the research, that's not happening across the country. There are 1,450 university teacher prep programs, and only a handful of those programs have actually looked to the science and taken that science seriously. So until we, make universities and teacher prep programs accountable for translating the science of research, we're going to continue to have teachers who come out of programs without that knowledge. And without that knowledge, they're going to go into classrooms and they're going to get very frustrated because it's very challenging to work with kids on all levels, whether they're dyslexic or not. Most of our students now are children who come to us needing a lot of good explicit instruction by well-informed teachers. And it's really hard to do that after they've become certified. They've left their teacher prep programs. It's really challenging to undo what they've learned and then to fill in those gaps. So we really, from my perspective, have to look at how can we change the current programs and the teacher prep programs. Want to add to that, Laura?
I think part of the issue is, though, in a lot of undergraduate programs, there's so many courses that they have to take. And so there's only room for, and I know at Southern in the undergraduate, there's only room for 2 reading courses because of all the other requirements that actually the state legislature puts on them. So as a person who prepares masters, people with masters in literacy and 6-year programs, I can't imagine how you can learn what you need to learn in 2 courses. So there's a larger issue at hand too. Not only what you teach, but having enough time in your program to teach literacy properly. Do you agree with that?
I agree absolutely. Coming from a high school perspective, one of the most important things that I think all teachers need to recognize is that every text, every day, is an opportunity to teach for vocabulary, and within vocabulary, I am also looking at, word study. It's an opportunity to teach for comprehension. It's an opportunity to teach for response. But teachers also need to know how to do that. So they need to know about how language works. And I'm not saying that the science teacher has to teach phonics, but my goodness, that science teacher should be working with his or her students and helping them break apart the scientific vocabulary in their subject area. So would it be helpful to know elements of morphology and to include them in the teaching? Absolutely. So those are my thoughts. And I just want to mention that I'm an alum of the program at Southern, the graduate reading program, and now I coordinate that same program. And I am absolutely convinced that it was the graduate reading program that turned me into a better teacher. Let me just say it like that.
So at Wilson Language, one of the things that we do is we provide coaching and direct support to teachers. We do it by coming in and coaching live with our students, with our teachers, and advocating best practices and fidelity to programs. And I think that, just as all of our panelists are talking about, and as Harvey mentioned when he began here, that idea of how do we learn best? Multisensory instruction is really a key for all students. So having a lot of different ways to teach word concepts, to teach word study, and clearly beginning from the basics, from the ABC principles, phonemic awareness, just all those key pieces need to be in place for our students.
Well, it's kind of important because you really can't learn science or history or math or anything else until you know how to read. It's the foundation. So, and what I thought in the gaps is these white papers are written and they're put in journals and they're left folded up in a file back at the university, and the teachers are out in the field. So I think that's kind of an important thing. But you walk around with white papers in your pocketbook.
They are right now.
They all, yeah. Yes. Right? Isn't that cool, being a reading nerd? So where do you get your white papers from, man?
So I have a lot of friends in the field who share information and are used to my calls and helping out. And truthfully, this year our superintendent of schools, Dr. Ruffin, had asked at our first meeting for all administrators to sign up for social media, which terrifies me. But I did. I have a Twitter account, and oh my goodness. I follow Decoding Dyslexia. Thank you for everything you post. And a lot of the researchers and scientists themselves that post what's current, what's new. And almost every day I get a download, and we have a whole storage file in Waterbury where we share that with our literacy facilitators to bring it to our teachers, literally on an ongoing basis. It doesn't stop.
One of the things about Waterbury, when we wanted to see how Waterbury does it right, Waterbury, there's 2,000 educators in your city, ish, right? And you share the information, and it's from the top down and the bottom up. There's a lot of information going all ways, and everybody's working on teaching kids how to read the best that they can. Okay, other ways to get information out as fast as possible. Any other suggestions with you?
I follow researchers on Twitter like Fumiko and Margie, and Nadine Gab, and I'm constantly reading papers all the time, and I share them with my school district. I probably drive them crazy, but I read a lot. I'm obsessive compulsive about it, I would say.
So
And I share it also on Decoding Dyslexia, so, and then I see people sharing it from there.
okay, so I mean, the internet has really kind of changed the way we're doing things. And again, just kind of as a review for any of the parents who, if or the struggling readers, if they're concerned, I think they should talk to some of the Decoding Dyslexia folk that are here, and then also get the conversation going with the school as well. And I think there would be a lot of information being generated from here.